Part 46. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 451. What a weapon! What a courage! However, the person who uses it is not very good. Why don't you hand over this treasure? I can consider sparing you. The serious sword has just been unsheathed. Xiao Xian heard a taunt. A young man wearing white clothes and an arrogant expression walked out of the forest. Behind the young man were 5 or 6 old men in grey robes. Are you the one Xiao Xian who is rumored to be carrying a treasure? The young man stepped forward, tilted his head and looked at Xiao Xian, shook his head and said, "It's really disappointing. There is nothing on you. Are you worthy of being the proud man of heaven?" To these cynicism. Xiao Xian is completely capable of being unfazed by favors and humiliations. After thousands of years of hard training, he has seen too many frivolous wealthy businessmen and holy sons of the Holy Land. If he wanted to be angry with everyone, he would have pissed himself to death. Nowadays, he didn't do anything, he just wanted to see why these people came. How? Is it possible that you are still mute? Seeing that Xiao Xian didn't speak, the young man in white showed a sarcastic look on his face and walked forward. When he saw the serious sword in Xiao Xian's hand, his eyes suddenly revealed a bit of greed, a Xian-level treasure. There is a mysterious treasure appearing in this world. It seems that this time has come for our blood sword sect to rise. This time the ancient eye really paid off. This Xiao Xian seems to be mediocre in strength, but he can cause thunder and catastrophe. I think he has other treasures and skills, why not take them together now? The young man in white finished speaking. The grey-robed old men behind him were also ready to make a move. No one took Xiao Xian seriously. "Master Xiao, may I ask, where does this sword come from?" Bai Feng walked up, looked at Xiao Xian, and asked with a smile. "Is it related to you?" Xiao Xian just carefully felt the power of the wolf roar on the heavenly wolf sword, completely ignoring Bai Feng. Seeing Xiao Xian's attitude, Bai Feng's expression instantly turned uglier. But soon he changed his face again and said with a smile, "Master Xiao, why are you like this? The great Dao continent is divided into 9 states. There are countless natural and earthly treasures. Those who have great luck and talent cannot get them. Many friends have many paths, must young Master Xiao be at odds with our blood sword sect? Blood sword sect? Is it amazing?" At this time, the sarcasm on Xiao Xian's face was no longer concealed. When he appeared on the great Dao continent, he had already felt the atmosphere of surrender and the gathering of heroes, and even some ancient and powerful forces were slowly awakening. This feeling of being watched is always there. Even when he swallowed the Ling Yuan pill and advanced his skills, he never disappeared. Actually, with the ability of the River of Time, he can get rid of the prying eyes of this ancient power at will, and can even disappear silently without leaving any trace. But Xiao Xian did not do this. His purpose is to let those ancient forces understand. He is not a mortal. Young Master Xiao has such an arrogant tone. He has only 1 level of Dao power, but he has not even condensed his spirit body. How dare he be so arrogant? Let me tell you, no matter how lucky you are, if you don't have absolute strength, you are just looking for death. You should know the truth behind holding a treasure, right? Seeing that Xiao Xian didn't give him a good look, Bai Feng even sneered and pointed at the grey-robed old man behind him, "Do you think you can still leave today?" Several old men in grey robes immediately surrounded him. All of them looked livid and contemptuous, and did not take Xiao Xian seriously at all. Before coming, they were indeed a little worried. Although their blood sword sect was backed by the Chixia temple in the eastern wasteland, their strength was hardly ranked among them. In the sect, the only ones who can use it are a few elders at the 9th level of the power of the avenue. The reason why Xiaoxian was found so quickly this time was entirely due to some bad luck. The ancient Ai where Xiaoxian was born happened to be near their sect's territory. At first, they couldn't believe that they could snatch Xiaoxian's luck among the many powerful sects. But it's different now. I saw with my own eyes that Xiaoxian only had the power of the great Dao at the first level. Greedy thoughts naturally surged. Amazing! Who knew that on the Great Road, an ordinary warrior could have such power? Spiritual energy is like a sharp blade. Do it! Kill this man quickly, take away the treasure from him, then return to the sect to practice in seclusion, and then come out after breaking through the earth spirit realm. The power of the great Dao in him was only realized after tens of millions of years of hard work, countless encounters with magic weapons, and countless encounters with life and death. Xiaoxian's praise was naturally regarded as ridicule by him. It's no longer a matter of time. When those big sects arrive, things will be difficult to handle. After all, Xiaoxian saw that every attack by Baifeng carried the continuous power of the avenue. Although this power was not as good as him, it was more powerful than any warrior on the prehistoric continent and Tianwu continent. What the elders said is absolutely true, let's do it together over there. Xiaoxian couldn't help but be envious. He was still helpless towards Xiaoxian, which made him a little ashamed. The long sword was held in front of him, like a long silver dragon, heading straight for Xiaoxian's door. The short sword was held backward, like a hidden poisonous snake that would reveal its fangs at all times. He and Xiaoxian were strangers, but they had never thought about living in peace. His feet were uneven, and he slowly retreated in small steps. He didn't see any movement, but he was able to dodge Baifeng's attack every time. Do it? Baifeng's face turned a little blue at this compliment. As a practitioner at the 5th level of the power of the Great Avenue, his realm was 4 levels higher than Xiaoxian's. The original silver sword instantly turned blood red, and there was an endless smell of blood in the air. Xiaoxian watched his performance with interest. Judging from Baifeng's appearance, he is also a relatively low-level cultivator on the Dao continent. The dagger instantly crossed the fingertips, and a line of blood appeared, staining the 2 long swords red. Then don't blame me for being rude. A malicious look flashed in Baifeng's eyes. But after fighting dozens of moves, Baifeng shook his arms, and there were 2 silver swords in his hands. One was long and the other was short. The long sword was more than 3 feet long, but the short one was less than 3 inches. Court death. This made him secretly frightened. Such a low-level cultivator can use the power of Dao so skillfully. Is this the advantage of Dao continent? I saw him stepping forward with his left foot and stepping back with his right foot. The power of the great Dao is thick and round, and he can integrate the great Dao into every move. He is truly a young talent. Although I still don't understand what adventure Xiaoxian had that actually caused strange phenomena in the world, what is certain is that Xiaoxian must have something good in him. The edge of the sword is like Ling Feng. Xiaoxian couldn't help but sigh after receiving a vertical slash with a long sword. Baifeng roared angrily. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 452. You can die under my blood sword technique. Xiaoxian, you are proud enough. Baifeng's eyes were red and his expression was ferocious, like a glaring King Kong. Blood swordsmanship. This is an unheralded mystery in the blood sword sect. Every time it is used, the user will burn the essence and blood that he has worked hard to cultivate, forcibly improve his own realm, and recognize the sword with blood, reaching the point where a human sword is the same in a short period of time. Men and swords are the same. The sword exists to save people, but the sword destroys people to perish. This not only means that Baifeng and the sword have completely become the same existence, but what is even more terrifying is that if a cultivator who uses a sword can reach this point, his combat ability can be greatly improved in a short period of time. I saw Bai Feng using the blood sword technique. Several grey-robed elders behind him took a few steps back. Their realm was much higher than that of Bai Feng, but when they saw Bai Feng using this move, they looked a little scared. Back then, when the leader of the Blood Sword sect first entered the spiritual realm of the Great Avenue, he used the Blood Sword technique to kill a cultivator who had been in the spiritual realm of the Great Avenue for several years. This achievement even made Chixia Temple praise him. Only then did he recognize the existence of the Blood Sword sect. You must know that the Chixia Temple is one of the most powerful temples on the eastern wilderness continent. It has profound knowledge and many masters. Its treasure house contains tens of millions of magic weapons and secret books. Being able to appreciate the blood sword technique is enough to prove how amazing the blood sword technique is. Moreover, the blood sword technique has one of the most sinister aspects, that is, as long as it is used, it will be a fight to the death with the opponent. Either you die or I die. Xiao Xian's mere level 1 Dao power can enable Bai Feng, a practitioner at the 5th level of Dao power, to use bleeding swordsmanship. As Bai Feng said, he is enough to be proud of. Well done. Then let's see who is the real strong one. The more frustrated you become, the braver you become. Xiao Xian laughed loudly. Having traversed the continent for tens of millions of years, he had encountered more than tens of millions of strong men, and the corpses of those who had been defeated by him were enough to cover the entire continent. What's the harm in having one more? Just now Bai Feng was attacking, and the serious sword is good at attacking. Now that he has been passively defending for so long, he has already become exhausted. Now, under Xiao Xian's control, the serious sword feels like it has been liberated. As the long sword danced, every time it was swung, there was a wolf's howl and roar, which made Bai Feng's liver and gallbladder split, as if he was fighting with an alpha wolf in the wilderness. It takes less than half a stick of incense. The serious sword completely suppressed the opponent. In the end, Bai Feng even felt that the essence and blood in his body were about to dry up. With all his strength, blood and tears flowed from his eyes. He was about to die from exhaustion. No, the young master is in danger. We must not let the young master be defeated, otherwise how will we explain to the sect master? Come together and save the young master. The grey-robed old men were shocked. They couldn't believe that Xiao Xian and a heavenly wolf sword could be so powerful, and could even force Bai Feng, who was at the 5th level of Dao power, to this point. Late. The corners of Xiao Xian's mouth raised slightly. As the founding spirit of the mainland, his authority must not be violated, and he will die if he touches his scales. The serious sword is like a shooting star. Under the rampage, Bai Feng's head, dripping with blood and tears, instantly shot up into the sky. Scarlet blood fell from the sky like snowflakes, which was terrifying. After a long time, the remaining body slowly fell to the ground. You killed the young master. You are so bold, today is the day you die. Watch me capture you. The old men in grey robes were instantly frightened and their faces were filled with anger. The Blood Sword sect has extremely strict rules. As the guardian elders of Bai Feng's death would be a dereliction of duty. If they can kill Xiao Xian today, they may have a chance to be forgiven. Just now. The reason why Xiao Xian fought with Bai Feng for so long. I'm just curious and want to test the true level of warriors on the Dao continent. It's not that I can't beat him. At this moment, although several grey-robed old men were at a higher level than him, he could clearly feel that these warriors were not weak in the power of the great Dao. But his understanding of Dao is far inferior to him. Just like some naughty tough guys. He holds the most powerful weapon in the world, but he doesn't know how to use it. Therefore, after he merges with Dao a little, he can tease these people at the palm of his hand. Pook. Xiao Xian was carrying the serious sword, one person with one sword, just like a butterfly playing among the flowers. Lifting weight is light, natural and unrestrained. But every 2 or 3 moves, an old man in grey robe will be killed. In the end, only an old man with a black sword was left. When he saw Yiti's companions beside him, he finally showed fear and recognized the gap between himself and Xiaoxian. However, this realization came a little late. Don't wait for him to turn around. The serious sword passed through his chest. In his surprised eyes, his last vestige of vitality was wiped out. At the same time, all the powerful officials on the eastern wilderness continent were whispering. Although the sun's realm is not high, his understanding of the Dao is quite profound. I think he will also be a figure in the future. When he comes, there will be visions of heaven and earth, but he is also a person. Spread the word, find this person, and let him join our section. If that doesn't work, we must not let him join other sects. Whisper these. Xiaoxian knew nothing. However, he walked to the bodies of Baifeng and others and did a little search. I want to see what kind of treasure the Blood Sword Sect's young master has in his space spirit treasure. He wouldn't just come here to seek death without any support, right? Feel free to erase the master's imprint in the space spirit treasure. Half a torn sheepskin map. Thousands of great spiritual stones. 3 flying knife spirit treasures. Several vials of qi and blood elixirs. What made Xiaoxian dumbfounded was that among Baifeng's spatial spiritual treasures, there were actually several girls' obscene clothes, makeup, gold hairpins, and silver ornaments. Throw those things away. Xiaoxian put away the useful things and carefully studied the half of the sheepskin map. I watched it for a long time. He just saw a lot of ancient characters written crookedly on it, as well as ghostly symbols and the like. It looked like a treasure map. He decided to ask Chen Yao. Green lakes and green mountains. In a paradise of heaven and earth. A fat black man, who was covered in fat, pushed a kidnapped 17 or 18-year-old girl to the ground, roared angrily, and his eyes were split open. Xiaoxian, I want you to die badly. His name is Bai Qinglong, he is Baifeng's father and the leader of the Blood Sword sect. Just now, he personally saw that in the sect, the living soul cards of Baifeng and several grey-robed elders exploded instantly. These life spirit tablets are inextricably linked to their hosts. Once the host dies, these life spirit tablets will explode, and at the same time show the scene of the host dying. Just now, Bai Qinglong saw clearly that it was Xiaoxian who killed his son with his own hands, and he also used such a clean method. I want it. Let Xiaoxian be shattered to pieces. Someone is coming. Integrate all the elders of the Blood Sword sect, follow the sect leader, go to the Eye of the Ancients, and kill Xiaoxian. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 453. So, is this why you're covered in makeup? The Witch's Chamber. Chen Yao looked at Xiaoxian with strange eyes, a look of distrust. Just now, when the charm technique was effective, she still had some consciousness, and decided that if it didn't work, she would just devote herself to Xiaoxian. But later I discovered something was different. I just felt that some meridians and acupuncture points on my body were touched, and then I fell asleep. Open your eyes again. I saw Xiaoxian with a rosy look. Chen Yao's realm is not very high, only the 3rd level of power of the Great Dao, but the smell of the makeup and powder commonly used on girls can still be smelled. I don't care, if you do that to others, you must be responsible for them. At this time, she seemed to remember something, and a hint of cunning flashed in the corner of her eyes. From now on, I will definitely follow you. To Chen Yao. Xiaoxian is not annoying. On the contrary, With the system prompts, he also vaguely felt that Chen Yao, a beautiful witch, seemed to have some entanglements with him in the future. Oh! Don't you want to go back to the demon clan? Xiao Xian was a little curious. I have been in contact with Chen Yao for such a long time. Although Chen Yao is known as the holy girl of the demon clan, except for planning to snatch the treasure from him when she first met him, she didn't seem to have done too many excessive things. Even, she, a saint, was almost assassinated by the demon elders. This witch. Isn't it a bit too unremarkable? Hee. I'm afraid I'll die before I get back. Chen Yao smiled bitterly and shook her head. Those demon elders and Chen Zhen will not let me go back alive. Xiao Xian nodded secretly. For thousands of years. He understands the grudges and interests in the fantasy world all too well. To eradicate the root cause, he could think of the fact that at that time, Chen Zhen, the elder of the demon clan, had already turned against Chen Yao, and even went so far as to confess the murder plan. Then they have no hope of reconciliation. One of the two sides must die. And from a global perspective, Chen Yao is obviously at a disadvantage. If she wants to confront the demon elder Chen Zhen, she still needs Xiao Xian's help. Look at this. Xiao Xian thought for a while, told what happened just now, and at the same time took out the half-sheepskin map that he snatched from Baifeng's hand. What? You killed 5 or 6 elders of the Blood Sword sect by yourself, and there was also a young master named Baifeng. Chen Yao once again showed a surprised expression. Xiao Xian shrugged. I didn't want to kill them originally, but since they came, I killed them easily. Joke. Xiao Xian is the founding Yuanling. Create countless and kill countless. Not to mention that the death of a few people from Baifeng would wipe out the Blood Sword sect, so what? What strength do you have? Chen Yao swallowed. It is said that it is the first level of power of the Great Dao, but I think it should be stronger. Xiao Xian has long transcended this continent, and has the blessing of the long river of time and the system. Even if he is said to be the master of heaven, earth, and heaven, it is not an exaggeration. I do not believe. With only one level of power, I'm afraid you won't even be worthy of the disciples of the Blood Sword section, but you killed most of the elders of the Blood Sword section. How can you be at the first level? What's more? Chen Yao suddenly thought of something, but her face turned red and she didn't say it. She originally wanted to say. Even if Xiao Xian farts, he can have such an amazing spiritual treasure. How could it be only the first floor of the avenue? I'm afraid, it's not an exaggeration to say that he is on the first level of Zuji. According to rumors, there will be treasured beings under heaven and earth who are made up of the treasures of heaven and earth. Such people do not need to absorb the spiritual energy of the great avenues of heaven and earth, but only use the power of the great avenues in their bodies to practice independently. Strictly speaking, this kind of treasure is not a person born from the flesh. It has no father or mother. It is just a human form formed from the treasures between heaven and earth. But Baoran still possesses the sanity and emotions possessed by ordinary cultivators, as well as excellent cultivation talent. He is the first choice for selecting disciples from all the major sects and blessed places in the 9 states in the world. Could it be that Xiao Xian is a treasure? Think of this. Chen Yao looked at Xiao Xian with eyes full of admiration, as if she were seeing a treasure mountain. Besides what? Look at what's in this parchment. Xiao Xian originally wanted to say something more. But when he reached out and pressed it on the parchment, the system sound rang again. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for getting Zuji's powerful treasure map. Please accept the task and explore Zuji's treasure map. Task reward, Gongsun Hei's Fire Spirit Avenue Swordsmanship. System tasks. Xiao Xian frowned. He hasn't accepted a system task for an unknown amount of time. Appeared suddenly today? This really surprised him. What is the swordsmanship of Huilingdao? Do you know Gongsun Hei? Xiao Xian asked casually. Of course I know. The entire eastern wasteland continent knows that this was once one of the top 5 swordsman masters in the entire continent. He once cut off a giant mountain with one sword and destroyed the mountain god's memorial ceremony. Chen Yao's eyes showed longing. It is said that this swordsman master was amazingly talented and had extraordinary swordsmanship when he was young. It's just a mountain, what's so big about it? Xiao Xian was puzzled. Although this mountain is unremarkable, there is a sect called Burning Moon Sect on the mountain. This sect was as powerful as Chixia Temple in those days. There were tens of thousands of disciples in it, with as many masters as in the clouds, and as strong as forest. There are dozens of powerful people in Zuji. The ancestor of the Burning Moon Sect is a person who has touched the path of simplicity. But all these tens of thousands of strong men were killed by his sword. Do you think Gongsun Heya is powerful? Chen Yao said in one breath. Although this legend has passed tens of thousands of years, the legend of Gongsun Heya is still sung in the eastern wasteland. Xiao Xian was startled. Destroy mountains with one sword? And also destroyed a sect in a continent? This is really interesting. The Great Road suppresses the spiritual power of the Great Road very much. When the masters fight, the spiritual power of the Great Road is very strong. It is a person like him who has perfected the Great Road. I can still clearly feel the suppression of the avenue. A mountain may not be that big of a deal. But if a giant sect can choose where the sect is located, it means that this mountain must be a paradise of cave heaven, and the sect must also have a defensive array in it. Not to mention that there are strong men from Dao's Hejian guarding it. Such a strong person might have been able to touch the mysterious power of Wu. Killing such a sect with one sword is definitely not something ordinary people can do. So, maybe this Gongsun Heya really has extraordinary feelings. Have the opportunity. He really wanted to see the former side of Burning Moon Sect. Look at the power of that sword. How powerful can it be? It can even break mountains and crack rocks? How? Could it be that you want to be like Gongsun Heya? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 454. Good. On the journey of the Great Road, everyone is equal, so why should we be afraid? Xiao Xian smiled. Practicing hard to achieve enlightenment and competing with heaven and earth for luck is an unnatural thing. Over the years, if he hadn't had a firm will that was different from ordinary people, he would have died in some dangerous situation or at the hands of the enemy. Just Gongsun Heya. Not to mention he is a corpse now. Even if a living person stood in front of Xiao Xian, he would still feel the slightest fear. Master Xiao is truly a man of great fortune. Chen Yao took a serious look at Xiao Xian. After confirming that he was not trying to flatter others by saying this, he also sighed one after another. You know, in the entire eastern wilderness continent, there are hundreds of millions of creatures, thousands of spirits and beasts, and not one of these many creatures dares to say that they want to be like Gongsun Heya. Since Gongsun Heya is so powerful, I'm afraid he will live as long as heaven and earth, and his soul will transcend forever. Why are you still dying? Xiao Xian was puzzled. In the Avenue continent, it is very important for cultivators to understand the true meaning of Taoism and the proverbs of nature. To a certain extent, Dao continent is indeed worthy of its name. If a cultivator can have a deeper understanding of Taoism than others, then, whether in battle or in practice, you will have more advantages. This was already evident when he was practicing breakthroughs and fighting against others. But precisely because of this, he could infer that ordinary cultivators on the Dao continent should have a much better understanding of the Dao than those on the prehistoric continent and Tianwu continent. And that Gongsun and Yan'an could become the top figures in the eastern wilderness continent. His understanding of the great Dao is naturally extremely profound, so why did he fall inexplicably? Did something big happen? Xiao Xian looked at Chen Yao with interest. But After mentioning this matter, Chen Yao, who had been relatively calm just now, changed her expression instantly. It seemed like he was remembering something terrible, even his lips were trembling a little. That was the biggest crisis in the Eastern Emperor continent in thousands of years. Chen Yao took a deep breath before she seemed to dare to explain the matter. It turns out that at that time, a heaven and earth spiritual treasure appeared in the Eastern Wilderness continent. What kind of spiritual treasure is it specifically? Naturally, it is not accessible to ordinary low-level people like Chen Yao. She only remembered that for this spiritual treasure, the three most powerful sects in the Eastern Barren continent, Qinglei Palace, Juxing Pavilion, and Chixia Temple, unexpectedly united together. Gathered together dozens of high-level officials from all over the continent who had practiced Dao's Hejian. Go treasure hunting. Who would have known that they were caught in an ambush by Zilong Hezhu, and all the high-level officials were killed in one fell swoop. The three masters used the sect's most precious treasure to escape with serious injuries along with several of their subordinates. That treasure was also obtained by other continents. After this incident, not only were the three major sects severely damaged, they also became suspicious of each other and fought constantly. Gong Sunhea was one of the few masters who survived that treasure hunt. I don't know what method he used to find out that the Burning Moon sect was a traitor of Dong Huang Jezhu who colluded with Zilong Hezhu, so he cut off the Burning Moon sect with one sword. But since then, Gong Sunhea disappeared mysteriously. Some people say that Zilong Hezhu killed him by force, others say that he cut off the Burning Moon sect with one sword, spent his whole life comprehending the Dao, and died of exhaustion. Some even say that Gong Sunhea found a new one in the Burning Moon section, the way of the Great Road, find a place to retreat and break through. But no matter. As the most powerful and talented swordsman in the Eastern Wasteland, Gong Sunhea is undoubtedly the pride of the entire continent, and there are countless people who pursue his elegant clothes. Use the sword like Gong Sunhea. This has become a kind of custom in the Eastern Wilderness continent, and even a kind of inheritance. I see. This really impressed me. Xiao Xian sighed with emotion. Originally, he only thought that Gong Sunhea was just a powerful swordsman who was bloodthirsty, violent, and cruel, but now it seemed that was not the case. At this moment, Xiao Xian finally understood. This Gong Sunhea actually still has some arrogance as a local sword cultivator in the Eastern Wasteland giant continent. In this case, he was really curious about how Gong Sunhea died. Roar. Just when Xiao Xian was thinking about studying the parchment map carefully and going to explore Gong Sunhea's tomb, a roar suddenly came from outside. Lord of Kailan. God of Heads. Xiao Xian could tell as soon as he heard it, it was the roar of the unicorn he had just ridden over. Is there a foreign enemy coming? He frowned slightly. Ever since he came here and caused strange phenomena in the world, there has been constant trouble, and all kinds of monsters have come to him. Although there is no overly powerful big shot. But these flies kept coming to him, and Xiao Xian was a little impatient. But this time it seemed a little different. Kailan was an auspicious beast from heaven. When Kishan came to him to talk about cooperation, he mentioned some ways to tame Kailan. Therefore, when he came to Daodao continent, he was able to tame a unicorn effortlessly, but now that the unicorn had strange phenomena, it made him feel a little strange. Who? Xiao Xian and Chen Yao walked out of the palace. I saw the shadow of an old man standing at the door of the palace. Under the sun, this old man is wearing a moon-white robe, with silver hair and bright eyes, but he is a strong-spirited and spiritual old man. At first glance, the strength is extraordinary. Who are you? Xiao Xian was serious. After coming to the Dao continent, he also tried to use clones, but on this continent, every time he tried to condense the clones, he got a splitting headache. Even if it is a condensed clone. Before long, it will be oppressed by the great avenues in this world and burst and collapse. In front of me, This old man can actually form a clone in the air, and it is so clear and real, which shows that his physical strength must not be weak. Chixia Palace, Yuan He, the old man in white robe, cupped his hands and said with a smile. Chixia Palace, Xiao Xian was a little surprised. What he heard from Chen Yao before was that it should be Chixia Palace. Why did Chixia Palace appear now? It turns out to be Elder Yuan He from Chixia Temple. I wonder if the elders are here to give you any advice. After Chen Yao heard this name, she looked surprised and held her hands in a serious manner, as if she was seeing some great senior. However, the old man's eyes did not stay on her. He kept looking at Xiao Xian with interest. May I ask, is this Mr. Xiao Xian? Yuan He still smiled. Yes, this is Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian is neither humble nor arrogant. The power of the Great Avenue is one level, but it can cause strange phenomena in the world. He is indeed the proud man of heaven. Yuan He continued to look at Xiao Xian, as if he was seeing some peerless treasure. Thank you for the compliment. I don't deserve it. Based on his character, he should be arrogant, but he doesn't know the details of the other party now, so it's better to keep a low profile. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 455. No, no. Beheading Bai Feng, who was at the 5th level with the power of the Great Dao, is enough to prove his extraordinary strength. Mr. Xiao is such a proud man, and his future achievements will surely be immeasurable. I wonder if you are interested in coming to my Chixia Palace to practice. There was a smile in Yuan He's eyes. It seems full of expectations. Thank you, Elder Yuan He. Xianyun He is used to it and has no intention of joining a sect to practice. Xiao Xian is much more mature. He understands that Dao continent is similar to other continents in that they all respect strength. At the moment, he is just a level 1 Dao power. Although he has time to protect himself, he does not understand the specific situation of Chixia Palace. You cannot join at will. After all, if you want to enjoy the cultivation elixirs and skill secrets brought by Chixia Palace, you must bear a responsibility. Oh. Elder Yuan He was obviously a little surprised by Xiao Xian's answer, but he reacted quickly and waved his hand and said, Does Mr. Xiao have other teachers? On this issue, Xiao Xian was not very willing to answer. Since he embarked on the path of cultivation, he has had countless mentors and helpful friends who have helped him. If you really want to talk about it, he has too many masters. But in Dao continent, he really doesn't have any master. But he didn't care. Aren't the system and the long history of time his biggest trump card? Young Master Xiao, there is no need to refuse in a hurry. As one of the 36 palaces of Chixia Temple, our Chixia Palace ranks among the top 10 in strength. If young Master Xiao is interested in the future, you can contact me. Today is just a matter of forming a good relationship. Elder Yuan He smiled and said, If I sense it right, the leader of the Blood Sword sect, Bai Qinglong, is heading here with 12 blood evil guards. Please pay attention, little friend. Said. Elder Yuan He's figure slowly dissipated. It's like it didn't appear at all. Blood Sword sect? Xiao Xian's eyes flashed with a cold look. During the fight between him and Bai Feng, he clearly felt that the blood sword technique was not the right way, and the blood sword sect was not a good sect either. However, Elder Yuan He took the initiative to tell him about it. Is it to test his strength? Master Xiao, you really missed a good opportunity. Chen Yao didn't sigh with regret until Elder Yuan He left completely. How do you say this? Xiao Xian asked. This Chixia Palace is the head of the 36 palaces of the Chixia Temple. Not only is it extremely powerful, but the palace also has a huge amount of cultivation resources and secrets of techniques. If you can enter the cultivation, you will definitely go through great troubles for the cultivation path. Okay. Chen Yao suddenly said, but there is no chance. If you go to Chixia Palace, maybe Elder Yuan he will take you in. Compared to Chen Yao's excitement, Xiao Xian was a little calmer. He just glanced at Chen Yao and said with a smile, to practice, you have to rely on yourself. There will be dangers along the way. Are you willing to come with me? Willing. Chen Yao did not hesitate. Xiao Xian nodded, and a few remaining Ling Yuan pills from last time appeared in his hand. There will definitely be people from the Blood Sword sect looking for death in the future. After you take these pills, you can improve your realm. Then, what about the people of the Blood Sword sect? Since they are here to die, let's see what methods they have. Xiao Xian finished. He also turned around and returned to the palace. As the founding Yuanling, running away was never the path he would choose. Besides, he really wanted to see how many methods the Blood Sword sect had and whether they could solve it for him. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for successfully rejecting Elder Yuan He's recruitment and being rewarded with a Suanji Dao gathering formation. Reward 3 spiritual herbs, which can be used to enhance the power of induction. As a reward, the Xianyang 9 Nether formation can kill all cultivators below the spiritual god realm and absorb the power of the great Dao from the cultivators. Reward Tianlang sword with advanced functions. Just found a secret room. Xiao Xian sat cross-legged and closed his eyes to feel the aura between heaven and earth. The cold voice of the system rang. Immediately, 2 sets of mysterious formations appeared in his mind. The Gathering Dao formation is used to enhance the laws of Dao, and the Xianyang 9 Nether formation is used to kill and injure enemies. One is used for training and the other is used for attacking. The system is really thoughtful. Xiao Xian was not polite. According to what the old man Yuan he said, there should be a spiritual realm on top of the power of the great Dao. He didn't know how powerful the leader of the Blood Sword sect, Bai Qinglong, was. Can you reach the spiritual realm? However, he was not in the mood to pay attention to this right now. The Tao gathering formation in my heart slowly circulated, and in an instant, all the Taoist formations from several kilometers around were attracted. Xiao Xian just felt that countless great techniques appeared in his mind instantly. Xiao Xian was a little stunned for a moment. Tao, is it nature? Some are demon gods covered in black light and powerful. Some are auspicious beasts with dragon bodies and phoenix tails, looking up to the sky and roaring. As long as he catches one and understands it thoroughly, he can greatly improve the strength of the avenue. Xiao Xian quickly took out all the spiritual herbs from the space magic weapon and stuffed them into his mouth. At the same time, he concentrated on feeling the images of the great avenue in his mind. High in the sky, he could not reach the dancing dragons and phoenixes even if he stood on tiptoe. The mountains and flowing water were beyond his reach, the demonic gods and auspicious beasts roared at him. Right on top of Xiao Xian's head. Tao comes. But he suddenly remembered a sentence he had read. There are scenes of the great river rising from the east and the waves rising to the sky and the earth. If someone is in the air at this moment, they can see that there is a huge spiral spiritual array in the sky, slowly rotating. Once, in the ancient continent, he thought that the Great Road was just one kind. And the position of the center of this spiritual formation. Only then did he realize how shallow his understanding of the Great Road between heaven and earth was. Xiao Xian took a breath of air. At this moment, he could only feel the mysterious Taoist magic being demonstrated in his sea of consciousness. Such a scene. But now it seems that is not the case. There are so many avenues under the heaven and earth, one wind and one water, one god and one demon. Every day and every month, there are avenues hidden everywhere. This was his first time encountering it. These avenues. There is no avenue that can bring him any sense of proximity. I don't seek the Tao will come by itself. At the same time, he also had a feeling of enlightenment. In the dark, he really wanted to have a sense of loosening his realm. The most important thing was that he felt that his understanding of the Tao seemed to be deeper. The moment of enlightenment is fleeting. He understood, that is, he succeeded. Some are high in the sun and the scorching heat of the sun. However, in the world of avenues in his sea of consciousness, all avenues seemed to be somewhat repulsive to him. He suddenly closed his eyes and no longer anxiously pursued the avenue of heaven and earth. There are thousands of avenues, but you can't understand any of them. Some were young men dressed in white, dancing gracefully with swords. If I seek the word will depart from me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 456. For a moment, Xiao Xian's concession was indeed rewarded with Dao Dao's closeness. The Kanglong lowered its proud head, the flying phoenix descended on its colorful tail, and the auspicious beast Kylin took the initiative to sniff the scent of Xiao Xian's body. The avenue of heaven and earth seems to be approaching again. Then, first understand the method of moving spirits. Xiao Xian felt it. Among so many avenues in the sea of consciousness, dragons, phoenixes, unicorns, and other auspicious beasts feel closer to him. He stretched out his hand and touched the Kylin in the sea of consciousness. The power of understanding in the spirit god grass appeared, and the way of Kylin instantly penetrated his mind. A huge auspicious beast with a sheep's head, wolf hooves, and a colorful body appeared. Kirin. Is this Kylin? Under the influence of the spirit god grass, Xiao Xian felt a natural sense of closeness between Kylin and him, and couldn't help but reach out and touch Kylin's head. Unexpected. Kylin did not hide away, but leaned against him meekly. Xiao Xian suddenly understood something. The founding Yuanling is the originator of all things in heaven and earth. He naturally has an innate sense of closeness to all things in heaven and earth. Gently caress the Kylin in your arms. A mysterious Kylin spirit was poured into Xiao Xian's head. Xiao Xian felt that at this moment, his own sea of consciousness was no longer empty, but instead had the illusion of a mighty and majestic unicorn. In this way, the Kirin phantom seems to be summoned at will. Fight for him. Is this the way of Kylin? If you are fighting against people, wouldn't summoning such a unicorn increase your combat power? Open one's eyes. After trying to manipulate the unicorn illusion, Xiao Xian discovered that every move of this unicorn illusion had huge power. One blow was enough to break gold, crack rocks, and shake giant trees. It took another half an hour. Only then did he fully integrate the Kylin way. Taixuan Mountains. Bai Qingshan's eyes were red, and there were 12 blood demon guards beside him, followed closely by dozens of blood sword sect disciples who had practiced the blood sword formation. Most of these disciples are 17 or 18 years old. But they are all dressed in blood-red robes, with a long diamond sword in their hands, and their eyes are tough. They are all killers trained by Bai Qingshan from the age of 5 or 6. As long as Bai Qingshan gives an order, they would rather die immediately for Bai Qingshan. Master, in front of you is the palace of the demon princess. Xiao Xian, who killed the young master, should be here. A blood sword sect disciple knelt down on one knee and reported. How is the demon princess doing? Bai Qingshan asked. I haven't seen this. The blood sword sect disciple was startled. Catch a few people and ask. Bai Qingshan's tone was cold, and he was very dissatisfied with his subordinate's intelligence. Soon, several people wearing civilian clothes and looking frightened were caught in front of Bai Qingshan. In the Avenue continent, since there are cultivators who can climb mountains and reclaim seas and dominate the world, there are also ordinary people who have no martial arts. For Bai Qingshan, who practices evil blood swordsmanship, these ordinary people are just objects for him to play with at will, and life or death does not matter. Explain. What's ahead? Bai Qingshan brushed his blood-colored sword with his hand and closed his eyes tightly. Reply to the king, in front is the eye of the ancients. A young man replied tremblingly. I'm asking whose bedroom is in front of me. Bai Qingshan opened his blood-red eyes, and the aura burst out from his body, which instantly frightened the young man's face. Yes, the palace of the demon princess Chen Yao. The young man's legs went weak. If not for the support of the two blood sword sect disciples beside him, he would have sat down on the ground. Hear the name. Bai Qingshan narrowed his eyes. Although the blood sword sect is not big, he has become bolder since he backed up the Chixia temple. Many smaller sects near the blood sword sect have become their vassals. Bai Qingshan, who has a cruel and lustful personality, usually only sees beautiful or talented female disciples in these sects. They will do everything possible to catch them and satisfy their desires. How does this little witch look like? How strong is she? Bai Qingshan smiled and tapped the young man's neck with his blood sword. They are very good looking, and their strength, I don't know about their strength even though they are small. I just know that their punches and kicks are very powerful. They can kill a wild boar with one punch. Waste. What's the use of you? Bai Qingshan's eyes instantly turned violent. As soon as the sword was delivered, the young man's life was taken. The remaining blood sword sect disciples also reacted quickly, drawing out their swords one after another and finishing off the newly captured civilians. Since she is a beauty, I want to see if she is willing to be my 13th concubine. Bai Qingshan looked lewd. Catch the witch! Catch the witch! Catch the witch! After Bai Qingshan said a word, the disciples of the blood sword sect instantly became excited. This is a habit of Bai Qingshan. Although he has many concubines, after ruining this concubine, he will randomly reward his disciples. And these women will undoubtedly be tortured by the blood sword sect disciples. This also resulted in many blood sword sect disciples working wholeheartedly for Bai Qingshan. The blood sword sect's group was huge, with Bai Qingshan taking the lead. After a team of dozens of people entered the Eye of the Ancients, as if they were in an uninhabited land, the original strong resentment was suddenly torn open by Bai Qingshan. With the power of his avenue, they quickly found the door of Chen Yao's bedroom. Several demon disciples wanted to step forward to stop him. But before they could touch Bai Qingshan, they were slashed to death by a blood sword sect disciple. The strong bloody smell spreads through the mountain forest like a poisonous snake. When Xiao Xian and Chen Yao walked out of the palace, they saw Bai Qingshan coming to the door of the palace. She is indeed a beauty. When Bai Qingshan saw Chen Yao, his eyes instantly brightened, and the blood in his eyes even disappeared. Seeing Bai Qingshan like this, Chen Yao showed disgust. Who are you? Why did you kill my demon disciple? Because they deserve to die. Bai Qingshan shook his head. When you see me, Bai Qingshan, you don't know how to kneel down and worship me. What's the use of living in this world? I heard Bai Qingshan announce his home address. Xiao Xian and Chen Yao looked at each other. Xiao Xian took the initiative to step forward. It turns out to be Bai Qingshan, the leader of the blood sword section. It seems that he is here to find me, right? Xiao Xian. This sect master has no time to waste time on you. The first priority today is beauty. Bai Qingshan didn't even look at Xiao Xian. He swayed the fat on his body, walked to Chen Yao, and took a greedy breath of air. She is such a beauty. She actually tastes like a virgin. So, well, she is qualified to be my golden Luen bird, ha 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 ha. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 457. Shameless, dirty bastard. Do you know that this is the territory of the 10,000 demons sect, and I am the saint of the demon clan? If you don't retreat, don't blame me for being rude to you. Chen Yao's eyebrows stood upright and her almond-shaped eyes widened. The peach petal-like face was full of anger. Ha ha ha, she is still a hot-tempered girl, and this sect leader likes her. If you are on the bed, you can still have such a temper, but you have a different flavor. Bai Qingshan looked hungry, as if he had seen a fat hungry wolf. You. Look at the whip. Being humiliated in public. Chen Yao was furious in her heart, and the long whip in her hand flew out like a poisonous snake, heading straight for Bai Qingshan's door. In an instant, the seventh level of the power of the avenue was fully revealed. Xiao Xian was also a little surprised. He hadn't seen Chen Yao take action before, and thought that her strength was only at the third or fourth level of the Great Dao, so she was bullied by a demon saint like Chen Zhen to the point where she couldn't resist. Who knew that the strength displayed now was actually the seventh level of the power of the avenue? Could it be that this is the function of Ling Yuan pill? Actually, what Xiao Xian thought was indeed correct. After getting the Ling Yuan pill, Chen Yao was a little hesitant at first, thinking that the pill shouldn't have much effect. After using it, really fragrant warning soon. The Ling Yuan pill looks ordinary, but the power of the pill is so powerful, and the gentle and powerful medicinal power seems to be endless. It directly raised her realm by 2 levels. Only then did she reach the 7th level of the power of the avenue. After gaining strength, she became bolder. Little tricks. The golden whip is like a golden python. Majestic and powerful. On top of the Tao power, there is also the unique demon power of the demon clan, which is full of oppression. But seeing the golden whip approaching, Bai Qingshan did not avoid it, his little eyes narrowed to a slit, flashing with cold gaze. Facing the whip shadow in the sky, he held out a chubby arm. Extremely calm, he held the whip with ease. This surprised Chen Yao. She is also considered a cultivator with rich combat experience among the demons, and is naturally skilled in controlling the whip in her hand. However, in all these years, she has never been directly controlled by someone. You know, a weapon is every inch longer and every inch stronger. The long whip in her hand is a top-notch weapon among the demons. The whip contains the spine of a deep-sea dragon, and every time it is swung, it carries the power of the deep sea and the demons. It's terrible. Once, Chen Yao relied on this long whip to kill a master of the 9th level of the power of the avenue. This is also the reason why she dares to take action now. But such a fast whip was caught directly by Bai Qingshan, which was enough to see Bai Qingshan's strength. Girl! With your soft whip, how can it be as strong as my whip? A red light flashed from Bai Qingshan's arm, and a violent power of the avenue burst out. In an instant, the long whip fell into pieces and shattered. Fortunately, Xiao Xian responded quickly. He pulled Chen Yao away and at the same time shouldered Bai Qingshan's great power. This kept her from getting hurt. Despite this, Chen Yao's body still surged with energy and blood, and she stumbled a few times, obviously suffering a hidden loss. Spiritual God Realm. This Bai Qingshan is actually a master of the spiritual God realm. I'm afraid today. Chen Yao's face turned pale. It was like seeing the devil from hell. On the Great Dao continent, the division of the realm is extremely strict. If you don't have great luck or big trump cards, you will face people who are 1 level higher than you in the realm. No chance at all. Spiritual God realm. I would like to see how strong he is. Xiao Xian came to fight. On Tianhua continent and Honghuan continent. He has seen countless masters, and there are also many masters who have crossed the border and killed him. He really doesn't believe how strong this Bai Qingshan is. Ignorant child. Do you know what the spiritual realm is? How dare you talk so shamelessly here? When Bai Qingshan heard Xiao Xian's words, he laughed angrily and said contemptuously, do you know that with your level of power of the avenue, you haven't even touched the threshold of the avenue? The path of cultivation is like drinking water. Know your warmth and coldness. In fact, Bai Qingshan also just broke through to the spiritual realm a month ago. After breaking through this threshold, he discovered that the troubles he had encountered in cultivation suddenly became clear. Power of the Great Dao, Spiritual God Realm, Blue God Realm, Golden God Realm, Dragon God Realm. This is a relatively recognized realm division on the Dao continent. It is said that on other continents except the Eastern Wasteland continent, there have been masters higher than the Dragon God Realm. But this is just a rumor. Only after Bai Qingshan came to the realm of spiritual gods did he feel the mystery of this realm. Previously, in the realm of the Great Dao, cultivators could only practice hard in a secret room every day before they could gather even a trace of the power of the Great Dao. After entering the spiritual realm, only then did he realize that the avenue between heaven and earth was much richer than before. In the battle, he was able to mobilize the power of the great avenue between heaven and earth. It can be said that when a master in the realm of spiritual gods faces a practitioner who has mastered the power of the great avenue, it's adults hitting children. Therefore, Bai Qingshan could easily snatch the whip from Chen Yao's hand. Come on horseback. See if you have what it takes. Xiao Xian looked calm and said calmly, today, I just want to see if you have this ability. For a moment, the atmosphere became tense. Bai Qingshan's eyes also became extremely cold, his robe shook, and a bloody longsword instantly condensed out, and the red longsword was unsheathed. Like a long bloody dragon. In that case, then let you die under my red blood sword and use your blood to pay homage to Feng Er. Bai Qingshan's eyes were cold. The next second, Xiao Xian felt a red light flash in front of his eyes, and the red blood sword stabbed directly towards his chest. Red blood swordsmanship. This is a set of swordsmanship created by Bai Qingshan, and it is also the basis for the blood sword sect to establish its section. All the disciples of the blood sword sect practice the set of swordsmanship. But there is no doubt that as the founder, Dao Bai Qingshan is more familiar with the sword technique. The whole set of red-blooded swordsmanship is divided into 8 moves, known as the 8 sword choke. As long as the 8 moves of swordsmanship are displayed, the opponent will either die or be injured. Now, Bai Qingshan fights against Xiao Xian, who has the power of the great spiritual realm, and the disciples of the blood sword sect present are very relaxed. In their opinion, there is almost nothing to pay attention to in this battle. Bai Qingshan can definitely kill Xiao Xian at will. Avenge the young master. In fact, some blood sword sect disciples have begun to pay attention to Chen Yao, whispering and discussing how to play with such a beautiful demon clan in the future. Start hand gesture, blood sword empty. Bai Qingshan was scornful in his heart, but he didn't hesitate at all. He pointed the bloody sword slightly at the sky, sprinted, and bullied him. It stabbed directly at Xiao Xian's throat. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 458. Bai Qingshan's move looks weird. It's very lethal. While the blood sword pointed at the sky, the powerful power of the avenue condensed around his body, and he was swept away by the power of the avenue. There was flying sand and rocks all around, it was so spectacular. Xiao Xian was surprised to find out. With the use of the blood sword technique, the surrounding avenues between heaven and earth began to tremble and move. This was beyond his expectation. It turns out that the great avenues of heaven and earth can also be driven by people. Look at the sword. The red blood sword was like lightning, attacking directly towards Xiao Xian's head. If the sword hit him, the latter would immediately die. Bizarrely, wherever the long sword touched, Xiao Xian would dodge and dodge the sword edge. After several consecutive moves, Bai Qingshan also felt something strange. He clearly felt that Xiao Xian was not as powerful as him, but every time he made a move, he felt an inexplicable sense of emptiness, as if he had been struck by cotton. Normally, the wily Bai Qingshan would consider where the problem lies. But now, already dazzled by hatred and anger, he no longer had the rational thinking he had before. He swung the sword in his hand and slashed at Xiao Xian quickly and accurately. However, this is exactly the effect Xiao Xian wants. Since the first sword fight, Xiao Xian has already felt how powerful Bai Qingshan's spiritual god realm's ability to mobilize the great avenues of heaven and earth is. But he was not afraid. On the contrary, he could feel it keenly. But unlike a practitioner like him who cultivates the Dao by himself, Bai Qingshan is not so comfortable in using the power of the Dao. In some places, he just uses it forcefully. The full power of the avenue cannot be exerted at all. Therefore, he keenly knew that Bai Qingshan was not invincible. Swish, swish, swish. Xiao Xian, are you still a man? A kind of face-to-face competition. Bai Qingshan spent a lot of effort and didn't even touch the corner of Xiao Xian's clothes, so he naturally vomited blood in anger. You can rely on the time travel function of Time River. Xiao Xian is already invincible. Now, what he needs is an opportunity, a chance to kill Bai Qingshan with one strike. The bloody sword is dizzying like a goddess scattering flowers. But it looks like a fierce swordsmanship. But he never touched Xiao Xian, and couldn't even affect Xiao Xian's living activities. Soon, Xiao Xian dodged, and the Tianlang sword at his waist was unsheathed. The Tianlang sword and the red blood sword seemed like two old enemies that they had not seen for a long time. As soon as they met, they couldn't wait to hit each other. The long sword made a deafening sound under the blessing of the power of the avenue. At the same time, Xiao Xian and Bai Qingshan took a few steps back at the same time. This time, Bai Qingshan took a breath of air. He could see that Xiao Xian had not broken through to the spiritual realm, but now he was only relying on the power of the great avenue. A tie with him. No wonder he has the ability to kill the young master Bai Feng and all the disciples of the Blood Sword sect. In battle, there is only life and death, how can there be morality? Xiao Xian almost laughed out loud. Bai Qingshan is considered an adult, but he behaves like a child. The winner is the king and the loser is the enemy. The winner is the king. This time the two of them fight, one of them will die. Since Xiao Xian has a bug as powerful as Time Changhe, there is no reason why he should lose to a small Bai Qingshan, and there is no reason not to kill them. The more important point is, just now, Xiao Xian found clues to Gong Sun Hei's tomb from Bai Feng's space magic weapon. And in the system mission, there happened to be a request for him to go find Gong Sun Hei. In that case, why didn't he take advantage of the situation and get Bai Qingshan's space magic weapon? Maybe he also has some clues about Gong Sun Hei? After wanting to understand this, Xiao Xian naturally no longer hesitated and silently communicated with the Kailan Dharma image in the sea of consciousness. Planning to give Bai Qingshan a fatal blow. Keng. Keng. Soon Xiao Xian found an opportunity. When Bai Qingshan's move was too late and he couldn't turn around, Xiao Xian's serious sword slashed towards his back, and the sword cut open his high bun. There was also a bloody gash on his back. Blood flowed. Compared to the wound on his back, Bai Qingshan was even more irritable and restless. He never expected that as a master in the realm of spiritual gods, he would be inexplicably tied with Xiao Xian, and no one could do anything about him. He even held it in front of his disciples. This is something he cannot accept. In that case, I'll show you what the real art of blood sacrifice is. By the blood on your body. Bai Qingshan cut his arm open with the red blood sword. In an instant, the blood flowing out of his arm infected the entire red blood sword, making the entire sword turn red. The red blood sword stained with donated blood has a stronger bloody smell. Next to Bai Qingshan, a bloody puppet with a red body appeared unexpectedly. Summoning. Chen Yao cried out. The bloody puppet's body is red, and its appearance and body are the same as those of ordinary people, except that there is no expression on its face and its eyes are dull. He's clearly an emotionless guy. Kill. Bai Qingshan gritted his teeth and gave the order. The bloody puppet is extremely fast, with its blood-red arms stretched out like a blood-colored spear. Take it. Xiao Xian carefully dodged, but the arm of the puppet bloody man actually dug a fist-sized hole out of the big tree behind him. Come out. Kailan auspicious beast. See this scene. Xiao Xian also understood that he was definitely no match for this bloody puppet. I'm afraid that this bloody puppet is even stronger than Bai Qingshan. In this case, he has no need or strength to confront the bloody puppet. It is better to take the opportunity to test the strength of the Kailan Dharma elephant. Roar! Roar! Following Xiao Xian's call, a tall and majestic unicorn elephant appeared beside him. Kailan is an ancient divine beast. With its roar, the blood sword sect disciples present were instantly frightened. Even Bai Qingshan looked solemnly. Kill. But that's it? Bai Qingshan also knew that there was no way out. He could only give the final order to the bloody puppet. The bloody puppet was a disciple of the blood sword sect that he personally trained many years ago. Because he violated the sect's rules, he killed him and made him into a puppet. It took 7 years to brew. It was just made like this, with a body made of steel and iron, so even if it was struck with a sword, it wouldn't leave any trace. This is also Bai Qingshan's biggest trump card and reliance. The bloody puppet roared and rushed directly towards the Kailan elephant. Unexpectedly, before he could reach the Kailan elephant, he was knocked away by a claw. This bloody puppet's physique is indeed extraordinary. After hitting the ground, without any hesitation, he stood up again and rushed over. The Kailan Dharma elephant also became angry at the same time, roared, opened its big mouth, hugged the waist of the bloody puppet with 2 claws, and started to bite. It is true that the puppet's bloody body is different from ordinary people. But under such circumstances, still unable to break free, before he could struggle, he was bitten in half by the unicorn elephant. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 459. Even though the bloody puppet has no life, but his body was torn into pieces, and he couldn't stand up again. After struggling for a while, he lay softly on the ground. At the same time, Bai Qingshan spurted out a mouthful of blood. His face was like gold paper. Xiao Xian. You actually killed my puppet. Today is your death day. All disciples of the blood sword sect, listen to my order, go up and kill Xiao Xian, and be rewarded with 3,000 Dao stones. Dao stone, this is a kind of hard currency used among cultivators on Dao continent. Each crystal clear Tao stone is hand excavated from the veins, and contains a trace of the Tao power between heaven and earth. Practitioners can understand the great path by crushing the Tao stone. This will enhance the process of cultivating the Dao. But Dao stone is extremely precious, and there are only more than 50 mineral veins in the entire eastern wasteland, most of which are controlled by large sects. Small sects like the Blood Sword sect. There is no mine of its own at all, and the Dao stones all come from the rewards and salaries of Chixia Temple. 3,000 Dao stones. It is enough for a cultivator of the power of the Great Avenue to smoothly transition to the spiritual realm. For a moment, the disciples of the Blood Sword sect became excited. They held long swords and surrounded Xiao Xian. They were about to take action the next second. It's done, the Blood Evil formation. 13 Blood Evil guards in blood robes tightly surrounded Xiao Xian. The sword in his hand simultaneously surged with blood. The smelly blood reflected each other in mid-air, forming a huge bloody python. The python's waist was as thick as a bucket, and its 2 fangs were more than 3 feet long. Between hesitation, The blood is flowing. Even Xiao Xian, who had seen the world, was so excited by the strong smell of blood that his stomach turned. Chen Yao even started retching while leaning against the big tree. What a bloody giant python! I don't know, is your giant python stronger, or my auspicious beast Kylin? Xiao Xian sneered. He has absolute confidence. No matter how powerful the python is, it is still a mortal creature, and the auspicious beast Kylin is one of the 5 auspicious beasts inherited from ancient times. Why should a mere python be his enemy? Roar! Ho ho ho! Kylin is an ancient auspicious beast. They have their own noble lineage and long heritage, and their power is far beyond what this giant bloody python that relies on external forces can be compared to. After the unicorn illusion appears, the bloody giant python, which was so powerful just now, slowly succumbed. It was like seeing some horrible sight. Kill. Xiao Xian was originally a decisive person in killing. When facing the enemy, he would naturally not be polite and wave his hand. The unicorn illusion suddenly jumped high into the air. A ball of fire burst out from the mouth and nose, directly wrapping the bloody python. Snakes belong to yin. Fire belongs to yang. Under the burning fire, the bloody giant python let out a fierce scream and rolled crazily in mid-air. The sharp roar sounded like it was falling into hell. Pain, unwillingness, anger, regret. The roaring sound seemed to be able to express the blood python's countless emotions. It's just a pity. Under the suppression of pure blood, the bloody python's fighting spirit and combat power were greatly compressed. It was directly suppressed by the unicorn illusion before it could even react. In the end, the blood python was torn into 3 pieces by the unicorn illusion. He fell to the ground, lifeless. Pook. Ah! It hurts. For a moment, the blood fiend guards who had been standing neatly just now suddenly fell on their backs and fell to the ground. After defeating Bai Qingshan and the blood fiend guard one after another, Xiao Xian's actions have made the people of the blood sword sect unable to believe their eyes. All the faces were full of surprise. Even fear. They couldn't believe it. How could a cultivator with only the power of the great Dao defeat the master of the spiritual god realm, or even those blood fiend guards? It's unbelievable. It can even be said that this is a miracle. At this time, the remaining blood sword sect disciples who were lucky enough to survive did not dare to speak. They looked at each other in confusion, looking at Xiao Xian as if they were seeing a devil. To this, Xiao Xian was non-committal. When these people came to him and took the initiative to cause trouble for him, it has been proven that these people are already looking for death. Since he is looking for death, Xiao Xian has no reason not to help them. After all, he has no mercy for these guys who don't know the heights of heaven and earth. This person is too strong, we are no match. Run, let's run quickly. Walking to Bai Qingshan's corpse, he found the space spirit treasure on him. With a flash of thought, he erased the Bai Qingshan restriction on it and started rummaging inside. Every time, a blood sword sect disciple's head would fall off. The wind is so tight. So, how should Xiao Xian respond? This look. Less than a quarter of an hour. Under such circumstances, Chixia Temple will definitely not sit idly by. There are tens of thousands of spiritual treasures, weapons, formations, and bright Tao stones. Unfortunately, he didn't find the same sheepskin treasure map as Bai Feng's. Although the blood sword sect is not that big a sect, I have to say that you are a very talented cultivator, but, I'm afraid you have also caused great trouble. Reward, 10 plants of spiritual grass. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing the blood sword section. 2 or 3 guards supported the seriously injured Bai Qingshan and turned around to escape. Master Xiao. But it is undeniable that the blood sword sect has the support of Chixia Temple. Xiao Xian didn't care. However, Xiao Xian took a general look and found that the quality of these spiritual treasure weapons was far inferior to the serious sword and protective armor in his hands. Aren't you afraid of revenge from Chixia Temple? Seeing this scene, Chen Yao was so surprised that she couldn't even speak. She looked at Xiao Xian as if she were a god of war. Now, Xiao Xian inexplicably wiped out a sect under the Chixia Temple. Isn't it equivalent to slapping the entire Chixia Temple in the face? Xiao Xian really discovered a lot of good things. Is it possible that if I let go of the Blood Sword sect today, Chixia Temple will not retaliate against me? Not to mention the ancient I, he is a genius in the entire eastern wilderness continent. Chen Yao couldn't help but said, don't mention that the Blood Sword sect is a vassal of the Chixia Temple. If you slaughter the Blood Sword sect at this moment, it will definitely trigger the revenge of the Chixia Temple. What are you going to do? The power of the Great Road kills the spiritual realm. You, actually destroyed the entire Blood Sword sect. The Blood Sword sect disciples were scared. Only a body was left. Dozens of elite Blood Sword sect disciples were all killed or injured. Revenge. A chill ran down Chen Yao's spine. But Xiao Xian understood the principle of cutting the grass to remove the roots. At this moment, the serious sword in his hand turned into a spiritual light and flew in mid-air. Reward, Junior Kailan practice skills. Reward, the Heavenly Wolf sword advances to the first level and becomes a first-level Xian level treasure. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 460. Regarding Chen Yao's words, Xiao Xian also nodded. He also agreed. After all, the two of them could be regarded as grasshoppers on the same rope. According to what Chen Yao said, Chixia Temple should be one of the top powerful forces in the eastern wilderness continent. To the eastern barren giant continent. He really doesn't have much idea. But Gongsun Heian can become one of the most powerful people on this continent. Obviously, his strength cannot be underestimated, if he can really get the inheritance in his tomb. His understanding of the avenue will definitely reach a higher level. He is naturally one step closer to saving the Tianwu continent and the prehistoric continent. Are you, really a human? Just when Xiao Xian was thinking about countermeasures secretly, Chen Yao suddenly asked a question. This question really made Xiao Xian a little confused. He looked at Chen Yao with confusion. What does this mean? If I am not a human, can I still be a ghost? Mr. Xiao, have you ever heard of the Treasure Man? Chen Yao asked tentatively. Treasure Man? Xiao Xian was startled. Although he had practiced cultivation in mainland China twice, he still could not fully understand everything in the fantasy world. Hearing Chen Yao's words, he was a little puzzled for a moment. Seeing Xiao Xian like this, Chen Yao also understood the answer to the question and simply stopped asking any more questions. However, Xiao Xian saw Chen Yao's hesitation and knew that she must still have many questions, so he simply smiled and said, if you have any questions, just ask them, so as not to embarrass yourself. Although I don't know how many secrets you have. But it is undeniable that you must have a lot of secrets. In that case, how do you plan to take the next step? Chen Yao hesitated. Maybe, I still have to return to the demon clan. This sentence really surprised Xiao Xian. He didn't expect that Chen Yao could make such a choice. He originally thought that since the elders and saints of the demon clan turned against Chen Yao would not have so much involvement with the demon clan. But now it seems that is not the case. Chen Yao actually wants to return to the demon clan? Isn't she afraid that the demons will take revenge on her? Why? The demons already know the relationship between you and me. If the demons are bad for you, what should you do? Xiao Xian frowned slightly. In the world of Xianling, there is not much deep affection, and there are too many things like brothers killing each other and father and son killing each other. Not to mention that Chen Yao got together with Xiao Xian this time, and she was already considered the opposite of the demon clan. Even if she didn't do this, she was a woman with low strength but beautiful appearance. Putting anything aside can easily bring trouble to yourself. I grew up in the demon clan. The demon emperor is the savior of my family. Even if the demon emperor wants me to die, I can't refuse. Chen Yao shook her head and said, "This time, the demon emperor asked me to come and get the treasure from you. Even if you lose, you should return to the demon palace to revive yourself. How the demon emperor will deal with me is also my fate. But it's nothing to worry about. Thank you Mr. Xiao for saving me several times. If there is another chance in the future, I will definitely repay you." After Chen Yao finished speaking, she turned around. For this reason, Xiao Xian understood that there was no need for Chen Yao to talk about what happened next. Most likely, Chen Yao had to leave. But this is not necessarily a bad thing for him. It hasn't been long since he came to Daodao continent. There are many opponents to provoke, from the demon clan elders, to the blood sword sect, and even the Chixia temple where the enemy is unknown. These are all potential dangers. There is time for Chang He to be the trump card. Xiao Xian also has the ability to protect himself. But for the people around him, maybe he might not be able to keep them. Maybe, letting Chen Yao leave is also a good choice. Thinking of this, he said no more. Arch hands. He turned around and left this place. At the same time, due to the appearance of Xiao Xian, the ancient eye has undergone earth-shaking changes, and the original murderous miasma has turned into a spiritual energy that can be cultivated. Then wouldn't the ancient eye become a treasured place for cultivation? In this case, if we take this place down, wouldn't it make our sect's strength even further? The ancient eye. After Xiao Xian left Chen Yao's palace, he did not go far. He also felt the rich spiritual energy between heaven and earth. At this time, without anyone else having to say anything, he found a secret cave and started practicing. Although it hasn't been very long since I came to this continent. But he also roughly understood that what all cultivators on this continent value is not the previous spiritual power, but the power of the Great Avenue. Just like Elder Yuan he who appeared before. Xiao Xian slightly changed the time trace. Now, it is precisely for this reason that he borrows the function of the long river of time to hide his aura and traces. The unicorn beside him also chirped, which was very cute. The reason why they didn't all show up was that Xiao Xian didn't think that they would let him go. On the contrary, these big guys should have more important things to do. I am also curious about how many trump cards Xiao Xian has. And since he traveled to this continent, they were shocked at Xiao Xian's strength. Haha, I feel sorry for you. He discovered that the aura and avenue of the ancient eye were very strong. Practicing and comprehending here would get twice the result with half the effort. When Xiao Xian was studying the Great Dao, the river of time reappears. What Xiao Xian has to do is to seize the time to improve his strength. In the cave, obviously, they should have noticed the changes in the ancient eye. Now, it turns out that Xiao Xian's killing of Bai Feng, summoning the unicorn illusion, and destroying the bloody python were basically seen by those old monsters. As long as he understands it a little, he can see through the truth behind the avenue. Roar. The stronger the power of the avenue, the stronger the strength. It was actually silky and smooth before him. However, he found that with his previous foundation in the Dao, he was able to master some Dao that were originally difficult to understand on this continent. At least we need to stabilize our realm and improve our ability to control the Kirin Way. This can also be considered as some confidence for the next adventure. His figure disappeared into the ancient eye. At the same time, the realm in his body is constantly improving like sesame blossoms. While Xiao Xian improved his strength. That's why only small sects like the Blood Sword sect provoke Xiao Xian. Many great powers on the eastern wilderness continent opened their eyes at the same time. The more important point is, the weaker the power of the avenue, the weaker the strength. Xiao Xian also knew this very well. Since he was born, there has been an endless stream of powerful people from all walks of life who have come to him to cause trouble for him. It is precisely because there are conflicts between many big forces on the eastern barren continent. Under mutual constraints, no real big force has taken action or recruited Xiao Xian.